Let's get reaction now. I'm joined by Thembisa Fakude, who's an international relations expert. Mr. Fakude, a pleasure to have you on the program this afternoon. So from what you've gathered so far, what prompted South Africa's decision to seek this urgent provisional measure from the ICJ regarding the situation in Gaza, particularly in Rafah?
Well, it's because of the projected catastrophe that could happen. The entire world has been speaking to Netanyahu and putting pressure on him not to invade Rafah, and he has gone ahead to do so. Today, there's been additional calls for more people, refugees and internally displaced people, to move from Rafah into the eastern part of Gaza towards the Mediterranean. And hundreds of people continue to be killed, and many others are continued to be displaced for the second time, because if you remember, those that are in Rafah at the moment, most of them came from northern part of Gaza and were told to go there by the same government that is now attacking and bombarding the same people that it told to move. So the South African move to the ICJ has got a lot to do with the possible catastrophe that could happen in that part of the world.
Let's expand on that. How does South Africa then perceive this ongoing military assault on Rafah as a violation of the Genocide Convention? And what specific actions are being taken to address this issue?
Well, ICJ has got powers to issue statements that could stop the current ongoing genocide in Gaza. Of course, the actual proof of a genocide will take a long time to be proven, because that will involve investigations, speaking to witnesses, etc. So that's a long process. But in the meantime, while you have evidence, and pictures don't lie, we see this on a daily basis, and there's a case afoot, the ICJ has got the responsibility to insist on Israel that, given what's been going on and a clear evidence that Israel continues to want to eliminate the Palestinians and continue with this genocide, they've got the responsibility to stop. And the ICJ has got a right to issue instruction to Israel to stop. Everybody has been saying this, as I've already said. Human rights organizations, relief agencies, governments, including the United States, have pleaded with Benjamin Netanyahu to stop. So South Africa is just following through what it has done in the past in terms of taking the Israeli government to the ICJ.
Mr. Fakude, can you elaborate on the significance of the Rafah Governorate, also as a refuge for displaced Palestinians and as a crucial center for public administration and medical services in that region?
Well, Rafah is critical because there's a Rafah crossing, which is the only land border between Gaza and Egypt. And that has been very instrumental in terms of aid coming into Palestine, particularly Gaza. Now that you have this war extended and invasion that has already started in that part of Gaza, you are likely to have people suffocating, because it's the main key crossing for goods, services and aid that could come into Palestine, diesel, water. So you'll have, for example, health services disturbed. You're going to have hospitals disturbed because of that incursion by the Israelis. But importantly, before the incursion, they started by closing Rafah crossing, which is a critical crossing point, particularly for the Gazans who are in that part of Gaza. They will then often use places such as Egypt to go and get assistance. So now with that close and the war going on, we are likely to have more and more situation worsening in that part of Gaza.
As we wrap up our conversation, let's speak about the measures that South Africa has proposed to also ensure this unimpeded access to Gaza for humanitarian aid, fact-finding missions, but also journalist access as well. And why are these measures essential in the current context?
Well, they're essential because one is, you need to allow aid to come into Gaza, and you need to at least lessen the atrocities that are taking place, particularly on women and children who are continually being killed in that part of the world. But I think what is putting even more stress on South African efforts is that they don't like to see the smooth flow of aid into Gaza, and they don't see that at the moment. Instead, you are seeing the suffocation. I mean, they've been talking about, for example, having having 3 days reserve of diesel, which is key in terms of running hospitals and all other essential services in that part of the world. So South Africa is concerned mainly because of that. But again, it's also concerned because of the increased number of casualties on a daily basis. Yesterday, over 100 Palestinians were killed and thousands more injured. Today, we are also expecting similar number happening. So South Africa is under pressure because it is leading in this regard. It is leading the entire world in terms of trying to stop Israel from continuing with these incursions.
Thanks a lot to our guest. That's Thembisa Fakude, speaking to us about South Africa's urgent call for additional provisional measures from the International Court of Justice, and this regarding the situation in Gaza. So Mr. Fakude has been giving us some context into this situation.